Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a powerful and, well, often invisible kind of communication. It's a language that doesn't really speak to our sense of reason. Instead, it targets our deepest gut instincts. This is what we're calling gut talk.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever had that feeling where you're talking, laying out all your points, making a brilliant case, and you get nothing back? Just blank stares. The source material we're looking at today suggests the problem isn't what you're saying, it's who you're actually talking to.
You see, the argument here is that most of the time we fail to connect. It's not because our logic is bad. It's because we're speaking the completely wrong language. We're trying to have a logical conversation with a part of the brain that's pure instinct. And that brings us right to our first big idea, the two minds. This is where we'll dig into why just using logic so often falls flat, and how, according to the source, our emotions are really the ones running the show. So the source material breaks our mind down into two parts. You've got the head, and you've got the gut. Now, the head, that's our inner analyst. It loves words, it loves logic, it loves making plans. But the gut is the real powerhouse. It's emotional, it's instinctual, it runs on pure feeling. And here's the key. More often than not, the gut will completely override the head's best-laid plans, because the gut is what actually drives our behavior. And this is what brings us to the core concept, gut talk. It's defined as a way of communicating that just bypasses that logical, analytical head. It goes straight for the emotional gut. And it does that by using the gut's native tongue, feelings, movement, and metaphors. It's all about getting your message directly to the part of the brain that's actually making the decisions. The source really nails it with this quote. To change someone's behavior, you must change the emotions associated with that behavior. You must move the gut. I mean, that reframes everything, doesn't it? It means that trying to influence someone isn't about winning a logical debate. It's about shifting a feeling. That's where the real change comes from. So, if we need to move the gut, how do we actually do it? Well, that leads us to our first practical technique, and it's a big one, the power of matching. This is pretty much the key to unlocking trust and building that instant rapport. So the first tool in the gut talk toolbox is something called verbal matching. The idea is really simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It means you only say things that the person you're talking to can immediately check with their own senses, or things that they already believe are true. Why? Because that gut is always scanning its environment for accurate information. When you provide it, the gut immediately flags you as a trusted source. So how does this actually work? Well, imagine you're in a tense meeting. Instead of jumping right into your argument, you start by stating things that are just undeniable. You could say, look, we've been working on this for 3 weeks. We're all feeling the pressure, and we're all here because we need to find a solution. As you say these truths, you watch them. You're looking for them to nod along, maybe relax a little. That's the signal their gut is engaged. And that's your moment to deliver the punchline, the actual idea you want them to buy into. And here's a little look at what's happening on the inside. Every time you contradict someone, that's a mismatch. Their emotional resistance shoots up. But when you state a verifiable truth, a match, it starts to come down. And when you state a whole series of truths, one after another, you systematically lower that wall of resistance, which makes them far more open to whatever you're going to say next. Matching facts is powerful, for sure, but to really speak the language of the gut, you're going to need something more. You need stories, not just a list of facts. Because a single compelling story is worth more than 1,000 logical arguments. The source makes a really profound point here. It says, the gut understands through metaphors. Data, spreadsheets, bullet points, that's the language of the head. But stories and metaphors, that's a direct communication channel straight to our emotional, instinctual mind. So what's the psychological magic behind a good story? Well, for starters, it creates a sense of safety. By talking about someone else, you lower the listener's defenses. This allows them to have a vicarious emotional experience. They start to identify with the character, and your message just slips right past their analytical head. It's what the source calls the pink elephant principle. Don't think of a pink elephant. You just did, didn't you? Description creates experience, and a good story can create a whole new reality inside someone's mind. Okay, so we've got the techniques down, but gut talk isn't just about the words you choose. It's about who is saying them. And this brings us to the idea of authentic power, and this concept that sometimes the messenger is the message. This power comes from something called internal alignment. Think of it like this. It's when every single part of your communication is in perfect sync. Your words, your tone of voice, your posture, your gestures, it's all sending one single, unified, powerful message. When you do that, you become incredibly believable. And the difference is it's so obvious when you see it. In the aligned example, someone says, "I'm excited," and they've got this energetic voice, their posture is open, you believe them instantly. But when they're misaligned, they say, "I'm excited," but their voice is totally flat, their arms are folded, their body is telling a completely different story, and our gut picks up on that conflict immediately. Misalignment just destroys your credibility, while alignment gives your words enormous power. As the source material says so well, how you say something has more impact than what you say. All that emotional information, the stuff the gut really pays attention to, is carried in the nonverbal cues. Your body doesn't lie, and the gut knows it. Which brings us to our final section, the language of influence. Now that we understand these tools, let's zoom out and look at the big picture, how you can decode the world around you and, well, the responsibility that comes with this knowledge. So let's tie it all together. The big takeaway here is to shift your focus from the logical head to the emotional gut. And you do that by building trust with verbal matching, by telling stories that create these safe, vicarious experiences, and by making sure your own internal alignment is projecting authentic power. But ultimately, understanding this hidden language, it doesn't just make you a more effective speaker, it makes you a much, much more discerning listener. And that leads us to a final thought. This language of influence, it's all around you. It's in advertising, it's in politics, it's in your day-to-day conversations. The source has given us the tools to see it. So the question is, now that you can see this hidden language everywhere, how will you choose to use it?